Respected beginners of UPSC 2027, let this video be considered as an advice to you people, the aspirants of UPSC 2027 and further. My dear, after having a full-length analysis of UPSC 2026 paper and comparing it with last few years paper, I concluded that you must fundamentally redesign your preparation. My brave heroes, the aspirants of UPSC and CSE Preliminary Examination 2026, seems to be a paradigm shift in civil services examination. From information to intelligence and from memory to maturity. Every examination reflects the philosophy of the examiner. UPSC 2026 was not merely another preliminary examination. It was a declaration of the kind of civil servant India seeks for the coming decades. The declaration of the UPSC Civil Services preliminary examination results marks more than the conclusion of one stage of the selection process. It marks another milestone in the silent but unmistakable evolution of India's most prestigious examination. Many students walked out of the examination hall believing the paper was unexpected. In reality, it was not unexpected at all. It was the logical continuation of a transformation that has been gradually unfolding over the last 5 to 7 years. Those who still prepare with the strategy that worked a decade ago are increasingly discovering that the examination has moved ahead while their preparation has remained anchored in the past. The greatest lesson of UPSC 2026 is simple yet profound. The Commission is no longer searching for candidates who merely know facts. The Commission is searching for individuals who understand systems, connect ideas, interpret realities, and think like future administrators. This is the silent evolution of UPSC. Until a few years ago, preparation largely revolved around collecting facts, memorizing current affairs, compilations, mastery, Bucky coaching notes, and revising objective information repeatedly. This strategy was reasonably successful because the examination rewarded recall. Today's UPSC rewards reasoning, not recall. Yesterday's preparation asked what happened. Today's UPSC asks why did it happen? What are its implications? How is it connected with governance, economy, technology, ethics, and international relations? This subtle shift has fundamentally altered the nature of preparation. The Commission has quietly replaced memory based evaluation with intellectual evaluation. UPSC Prelims 2026 proved that UPSC is designing administrators, not encyclopedians. An administrator rarely succeeds because he remembers everything, every provisions of every act. He succeeds because he can analyze incomplete information, take balanced decisions, anticipate consequences, communicate clearly, and solve complex public problems. Remarkably, the preliminary examination itself has begun testing these qualities. Many questions in 2026 demanded elimination, interpretation, contextual understanding, and conceptual precision rather than factual recollection. Statement based questions, assertion reasoning, multiple combinations, and interdisciplinary framing forced candidates to think before answering. The examination hall increasingly resembles a decision making laboratory rather than a memory test. My dear, now the approach of UPSC is from subjects to systems. Perhaps the most revolutionary transformation is that UPSC no longer treats subjects as in isolated compartments. History now speaks to international relations, economy influences, ethics, technology affects governance, climate change transforms security, artificial intelligence raises constitutional and ethical questions simultaneously. Candidates who studies these subjects separately is attempting to solve yesterday's examination. UPSC wants integrated minds. Future civil servants must see relationships where ordinary learners see separate chapters. Recent transformations in UPSC examination exhibits the decline of coaching dependency. For years, the coaching ecosystem expanded on the assumption that every possible fact could be compiled. The 2026 paper once again demonstrated the limitations of this philosophy. No coaching institute can predict how UPSC will combine concepts. No monthly magazine can anticipate every analytical question. No single compilation can substitute genuine understanding. The era of collecting more PDFs, more notes, and more telegram materials is gradually becoming counterproductive. The future belongs to candidates who read fewer sources but understand them deeply. Depth has begun replacing volume, and quantity has begun defeating quantity. Current affairs has changed forever. Perhaps no area has changed more dramatically than current affairs. Many aspirants still prepare current affairs, a list of events. UPSC increasingly treats current affairs as a doorway into larger national and global issues. A new item about artificial intelligence is no longer about technology alone. It immediately connects to economy, labor market, governance, cyber security, ethics, education, international competitions, law, and human rights. Similarly, climate change is no longer environment, it has become agriculture, disaster management, international relations, federalism, migration, public health, water security, energy policy, and social justice all at once. This demands issue based preparation instead of event based preparation. Dear friends, why statement based questions are increasing? Some candidates complain that statement based questions are confusing. I would like to state frankly that they misunderstand the intention. UPSC is not trying to confuse, it is trying to distinguish between superficial learning and conceptual mastery. Real administrators rarely receive direct questions. They receive incomplete reports, contradictory opinions, uncertain situations, and limited information. Statement based questions replicate administrative reality. The candidate must identify what is accurate, what is partially correct, and what is misleading. That is the administrative judgment. As per trends in the Prelim 2026, I expect that the main examination will reward thinkers only. The implication of Prelim 2026 extend for beyond objective questions. The message for mains is unmistakable. Answers filled only with definitions and committee names are becoming inadequate. Future high scoring answers must demonstrate multidimensional thinking, constitutional reasoning, historical continuity, technological awareness, ethical sensitivity, global perspective, and administrative practicality. My dear, every answer should resemble the thought process of a policymaker rather than the notes of a student. The best answers no longer simply explain problems. They diagnose causes, compare alternatives, evaluate trade offs, and recommend implementable solutions. My dear, as far as the question is of transformation in a strategy in preparation, history should no longer be prepared merely as chronology. Study civilization, culture, continuity, heritage management, historical debates, and the relevance of India's intellectual traditions in contemporary governments. Geography should move beyond maps toward climate resilience, urban planning, geopolitics, resource security, and disaster preparedness. Society should be studied as a dynamic interaction between technology, economy, demographics, identity, migration, and governance. Stop preparing polity only as article and amendments. Understand institutions, understand governance, understand why institutions succeed or fail. Study implementation gaps rather than constitutional ideas alone. Every constitutional provision should naturally connect with a contemporary governance challenge. My dear, GS paper 3 will increasingly determine final ranks. Artificial intelligence, quantum computing, semiconductors, cyber security, space economy, green hydrogen, climate finance, digital public infrastructure, biosecurity, strategic minerals. These are no longer science topics. They are national development topics. Prepare them from economic, ethical, geopolitical, legal, and governance perspectives simultaneously. In GS4, ethics is becoming less philosophical and more practical. Questions increasingly emerge from real administrative dilemmas involving technology, data privacy, conflict of interest, media, social trust, disaster governance, public accountability, and integrity must be demonstrated, not merely defined. The interview or personality test is no longer rewarding candidates who simply know more. It increasingly rewards candidates who think more clearly. The board observes, can this person remain balanced? Can this person listen? Can this person disagree respectfully? Can this person justify difficult decisions? Can this person inspire confidence? Knowledge opens the interview, judgment determines the final score. Yes, this is the reality, my dear. If you are beginning your preparation today, consider yourself fortunate. You have the opportunity to prepare for the examination that UPSC has become, not the examination it once was. Do not become a controller of books, become a builder of understanding. Do not read current affairs merely to remember dates, read them to understand India's changing developmental journey. Read the Constitution not simply as a legal document but as a living framework of governance. Read history not as the past but as the foundation of the present. Read economics not as aesthetics but as public policy. Read science not as inventions but as instruments of national transformation. Most importantly, begin answer writing quite early. A thought that remains inside the mind has no value in UPSC. It earns marks only when it is expressed with clarity, structure, balance, and conviction. As a final lesson, my dear, the UPSC preliminary 2026 examination quietly conveyed a powerful message to every aspirant. India's civil services can no longer be entrusted merely to those who remember the most. They must be entrusted to those who understand the most. The future belongs to aspirants who are curious rather than mechanical, analytical rather than repetitive, disciplined rather than merely busy, and thoughtful rather than overloaded with information. In the years ahead, the successful candidate will not necessarily be the one who studies the longest. He or she will be the one who learns to think like a responsible public servant long before receiving the appointment letter. That perhaps is the deepest message hidden within the UPSC Prelim 2026 and the strongest signal yet that the examination has entered a